we mentioned this, but seriously, don't listen to this if you haven't played it. Seriously.
So the great thing about Silent Hill Shattered Memories to me is that it felt like a story that kind of really took advantage of the context of the game. Right? Like this comes out, you've got this idea of what Silent Hill was. You've played the original. You kind of have certain expectations, and it plays on that. And it feels like a story that could only be told in a game.
Yeah, because it is shaped as you experience it by some of the choices you make. It molds itself to some of the decisions that you make.
Right, and it counts on you participating. Like the character that you play is Harry Mason, and you're looking for your daughter. But what you really are is you're almost a figment of a sick mind.
Yeah. The whole thing, it was. I hope you aren't still listening. By the way, like you really should play Shattered Memories.
Yeah, seriously, if you have not played the game, you must not listen to this.
Yeah, do not listen to this.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. We should have said that earlier.
Sixth Sense level spoiler,
yeah, like
right?
don't do this. Okay, so anyway, you're basically a construct of everything, and everything that happens is a construct in the mind of your daughter, whose name escapes me at the moment.
It's Cheryl.
Sharon.
No, it's Cheryl. It's Cheryl.
Cheryl. There's a Cheryl.
Like Cheryl Crow
in the first stage, and I hit that a lot, much to my wife's chagrin. Cheryl. But you are basically living, and the interesting thing about Shattered Memories that I think a lot of games don't take advantage of is that Shattered Memories requires a lot of faith on your part, because there are a lot of things that happen that seem like bad game design. That just seem like they don't make sense, or they're poorly executed from like a narrative perspective. But really, it's just another side effect of the way it's being presented through her mind. Everything is seen through her sort of her perspective, and
right.
And it's neat because this is the kind of story that you could only tell in a video game, not just because of the interactivity, but because of the way that the way it can be presented in this non-linear fashion, only sort of loosely tied together, is like a great fit for games, and I wish more games would take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I love that it's basically a game that on some level it lies to you, because when you start playing that game, you assume that the segments where you're talking to the psychologist, you think you're Harry, but you're not. You're Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know it yet. You are the person that you're supposed to be looking for as Harry. You're trying to find Cheryl, but meanwhile, you're doing all these tests with the psychologist, and you think, well, I'm Harry. Maybe this is before the story. Maybe this is shaping the story somehow, and it's not. You're a completely different character. Mm-hmm. It's a big lie.
Did you suspect?
No, I mean, this is why I was talking about the original game. You're coming with these expectations. I never for once thought that I was actually Cheryl, because that's the object of the game. Like that's the goal you're going for. You're looking for this person. Never did I think that it was me. I mean, you're finding yourself in a kind of a weird literal way because you're working through mental problems.
Yeah, and then it's what was your ending, by the way? How did it end for you?
So you get a boat and you swim to this island because you think that's where Cheryl is, and then you get to his office, Dr. Kaufman's office, and you're standing outside, and then you realize, well, wait, this is the office that I'm in between. In between the segments where you're talking to him, this is the office that I'm sitting in. So maybe this is sort of leading up to the point where I get to his office, but really it's the end. And you walk in and you see Cheryl, and then Harry just completely froze up. And the way I interpret it is Cheryl working through her problems, and she's kind of eliminating these moments. She's putting a stop to them, right? I mean, you could argue that the monsters in the game are basically, the helping words of Dr. Kaufman coming after you, trying to take you out.
Yeah,
because Harry, like being alive and walking around in Silent Hill, is representative of the fact that she's still holding on to him. Mm-hmm. Even though he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it. I did. Now you said that she for me, when it was all over, she left the office and was picked up by her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't how it was. Was that how it was for you?
That is what happened. Like after he froze in the office, and she kind of like says goodbye to him, because the freezing is sort of like erasing almost.
Right. Richard said that her mom wasn't there. That it was just her in the parking lot.
Huh.
When she left, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and some of the characters look different too, depending on your decisions.
Yeah. I thought some of the puzzles in the game were probably some of my favorites in recent memory because they didn't insult your intelligence. Like, it was one of those where the puzzle wasn't hard, but the realization that you were in a puzzle was the real challenge.
It wasn't telegraphed for you. It wasn't like, solve this puzzle to open the door.
Right. My favorite one was the one in the art room. That was my personal favorite puzzle.
Which one was that? Remind me.
That was the one where you had to find the phone number on the wall by adjusting the sculptures to make the silhouette.
This is interesting because there's a point where that's in the high school, right?
Right.
When you go through the high school, and again, this is almost a metaphor of Cheryl's journey through high school. That's why you actually go through a physical high school. You have a choice. You can go through the art room or you can go to astronomy. And I went to astronomy, and I did a completely different puzzle.
You're kidding me.
I never did the art room.
Oh, well, the art room was really...
And I think the high school itself will change depending on what you tell your classes. You tell the psychologist what classes you took in high school.
Right.
And depending on which ones you say, that's going to be in the high school that you go to in the next segment. So if you didn't even have astrology high up on the list, then it's not even going to be there. So like as you're giving answers to the sky, it's actually building the level based on what you're saying.
Right. The puzzle that in the art room was really cool. It was a locked door you couldn't get through, and when you looked at one of the walls in the corner, there was like a projector behind you, and it was projecting onto onto like just a shelf that had a bunch of different sculptures on it. But one of them was making sort of a backwards 3, and by adjusting a pipe that was on the wall and a couple of sculptures and one other thing, it was able to it gave you 4 digits, and you called a phone number that was 555 and then those 4 digits, and you got a phone call that said the door is now open, and then you went through it.
Wow,
in the art room. And I didn't choose one or the other. I mean, the planetarium was locked for me.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, what was in the planetarium?
So basically you have to adjust there's a poster or something that talks about a certain galaxy or like a star pattern, and you have to adjust the projector to show that galaxy, and then you can figure out a telephone number from that.
Oh, wow.
I can't exactly remember how it played down, but it was also a really cool puzzle. And again, as you said, it's not obviously telegraphed. Like, you just kind of instinctively start doing it. And the reason it makes sense is, again, because it's all tied into the story. It's in someone's mind. Like, it doesn't matter who unlocked the door. Just as long, it's like you working through this issue, this trauma. That's why you can progress.
Interesting.
Yeah, so really great game, and if you have a Wii, we had a question a while back about whether it would be worth playing on the PS2 or the PSP, and I think that if you don't have access to a Wii, then those would be okay, but if you can, I think the controller.
Honestly, who are you talking to here? The person we're talking to has already bought this, right?
I hope so.
Hopefully they're not listening. Hopefully you already have it. You're listening to this.
So, well, if you know someone who hasn't played it, then just tell them.
Yeah, that's fine. That'll do. All right. Well, thank you for joining us again, everyone, for Spoiled Rotten. And Ludwig, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you.